Hello, I'm Phil from Inspiration Marine. We're here on the new Moody DS48. I just wanted to take some time to show you around the saloon, talk about the spec, show you some of the technical stuff and give you a great idea as to what the boat's all about. So it is 48 feet long on the hull, as the name suggests. By the time you include the anchor roller at the front and the attachment for the second forestay, we'll talk about the rig on another video, it's 50 feet long overall, so that's important to know. We're here in the saloon, and what's really important about the Moody deck saloons is that the saloon is on exactly the same level as the cockpit, exactly the same level as the galley. So moving in and out of the boat from the saloon into the cockpit, from the galley into the cockpit and around is all on the same level, all really easy. And as you can see from the camera, you've got a huge expanse of glass around here to give you a great view out whilst you're sat here at the saloon. It's a proper raised saloon, not a deck saloon where you're sat below and you've got great windows up high. This is a deck saloon where you sit in here, whether you're here at the saloon table or here at the navigating side, and you get a fabulous view out of the boat. So saloon table here. In this particular one, this table drops down to the same level as the cushions. There's a cushion that goes on the top to turn that into a double bed. On this side, there's a couple of options. This is what they class as the dinette version. So this table here has a chair either side of it. You still have your electric throttle, you've still got your VHF, you've still got your autopilot and your engine on-off control. So sat at this chair facing forward with a great view, you've got control of the engine, you've got control of the pilot, and of course VHF as well. Those of you who know the Moody DS models from previously, the 41, 45 and 54, this seat is further forward, this table is rotated around this way, and there's an angled panel here which generally has a chart plotter mounted on it, and then your throttle and pilot move up to here. So you don't have two seats on this side, but this is a slightly more sociable side. But if you do prefer the dedicated nav seat up at the front with the forward facing panel with the chart plotter, that's actually the standard arrangement on this boat. This table here lowers down to turn this into a single bed, so you can imagine if you've got this drop down as a double, this drop down as a single, and you wanted to sleep up here, whether underway or otherwise, regardless of which way you're heeled, you have a side to choose, which is going to suit better. The TV is tucked away in here, which looks like about a 32, could be a 40. I'm not very good with TVs, but that pops up out of there. You've also got a stereo on your reading lights, and you have on the side windows, as standard, you have pleated shades on the inside. If you're taking it somewhere hot, you're likely to want the exterior mesh sunshade, because that makes a huge amount of difference as to how much of the heat comes into the boat. But yet you've got pleated shades on both of these and both of these windows on this side. The galley is here on starboard, you can see some of that from there, and you can also see there's an amount of extra galley on the port side here. If you choose the dedicated nav seat, because all of this shifts forward, this bit of galley extends forward and gets about 2 feet bigger. So there's more opportunity to put additional fridges, additional freezers, that kind of thing in this side of the galley as well. There's great ventilation in here. You've got a double bank of hatches up here. There's a hatch above where the camera is. There's another hatch over here. I'll show you this later, but you've got your full height sliding door out to the cockpit and a big, probably 50-60 centimetre square sash window type arrangement there as well. So the ventilation in here is huge too. Up on the dashboard you've got two banks of air vents to demist the window if needed, and you've also got your air conditioning vents there as well. This space has an air conditioning system, as do the 3 cabins downstairs as well. Okay, I'm going to unclip you from here so I can show you a little bit more detail. So in through the door on the starboard side you've got the galley. This galley stays the same regardless of the layout of the rest of the saloon, so bear that in mind. So you have a big 3-burner oven with an optional grill on this side. You've got a 135 litre top loader and front door fridge here on starboard. Again, that's standard. Double sink, hot cold mixer tap. I have to point out the quality of this stuff is beautiful. It's so solid. It's really, really, really nice. On this particular one, we've got a dishwasher drawer in here. More storage drawers. The bins are in these two here. You've got storage for pots and pans underneath the cooker there. And then opposite on port side, you've got another bit of galley. Again, Corian work surface in a couple of different colour options. Nice, big, deep, solid Corian fiddle rail all around it. Well thought out little storage spaces, couple of power sockets, big deep storage drawer. This can be a double fridge freezer drawer. In this case, this is a 70 litre freezer drawer in here. More storage. If you have the bigger galley that we spoke about, again, you've got more capacity for storage in there. Underneath this seat here is a great big drawer. So there is heaps and heaps of storage in here as well. So I'm just going to pop this blind up so you can get the full benefit of what this panoramic glass saloon really offers you. And as you get to the back panel, you'll hear, so that drops down to create a great big space out into the cockpit. You've got your full height door from the saloon into the cockpit here as well. I just want to give you the view from the nav seat. So I'm holding the camera up at face height here, so you can see how remarkable the view out is from this position. And you've got your engine throttle and your pilot control literally down there by your left hand. So that is really straightforward. The engine, the accommodation, so owner's cabin at the front, guest cabin down here, another guest cabin down here. The accommodation ends at the point at the galley, so everything under the floor from the galley backwards is all machinery space. So we're going to open up this hatch here under the floor so I can show you in there. So the first thing that dawns on you is how big the space is. The fact that there's a ladder down into there gives you an idea. The engine insulation is hugely thick, and having motored this boat, sat inside about 2,200 RPM, which gives you about 7.5 knots. It is so quiet in the saloon, you can just sit there and have a conversation with whoever you're on the boat with. Okay, so let's have a look. So right in the middle you've got the engine. The two options on this boat are a Yanmar 110, which is your standard, or the bigger Yanmar 150. This is the 150, so my motoring experience of this boat is only with the 150, and that's the quietness of the 2,200 RPM. It maxes out at about 3,000, which was pushing it along at 10 knots. I don't think it's a speed you'd want to do for very long, just because it does get a bit louder, but it's nice to know you've got that kind of capacity if you need to. Outboard either side, you've got the thing you can see right out on the hull wall is the generator's super silent system, which separates the cooling water from the gases to keep the boat quieter at anchor when the generator's running. The green box on the wall next to it is the inverter charger. Then you have a fuel tank either side. The fuel capacity is 570, so you've got 285 litres in both starboard and port tanks, which are outboard there. You also have a really nice fuel filtering system down here with twin filters, and you can change over which tank the engine is drawing from. Really nice and easy to get to, a great system. You've also got a nice big 40 litre hot water tank in here. The electrical installation is very neat, up on this bulkhead, way up out of the bilge floor, and again they've even gone to the trouble of putting the motherboard with the breakers behind the perspex panel to protect it in there, which is really nicely thought out. So back in the port aft end, you can see that green bit of cowling there. That is the Sleipner stern thruster. So it's a retractable stern thruster. It's one of Sleipner's proportional thrust units, so it's not just on off. You can choose the percentage of thrust that you get from it, and that twins nicely with the bow thruster to work together as a bow and stern thruster. Other things that are really nicely thought out: your raw water strainer for the engine, right there at the bottom of the stairs, easy to get leverage on because we all know that those caps get nice and tight. Access to skin fittings to open and close, all really well thought out. Back on the other side, you've got an inlet for the aircon cooling through a manifold, which just presents the seacocks there to open and close within easy reach. And finally, you've got your generator installation here just forward of the engine underneath the steps. That's the Fisher Panda 10,000. Again, I was running that yesterday to give the air conditioning a run up, and once it's got up to temperature, you are barely aware that the thing is operating. Battery bank back there dedicated to the thruster. You have another pair of 160 AGM batteries here, which is twinned with the pair on the equal and opposite side to create the service bank. And in order to get better access to the other side of this engine bay, they very thoughtfully put another hatch in the galley floor, and there you go, you get into the filters and the hot water and the starboard side of the engine more easily. And of course, if you needed to do something with your inverter and your starboard fuel tank, that access would be very, very well received. So that's it for the engine bay. The only thing that I just want to point out again is the thickness of this sound insulation. The effort that the boat builder has gone to insulate that entire space is pretty remarkable, and the rewards are obvious when you're under engine. It is remarkably quiet. So we will head off down into the sleeping accommodation, have a look down around in there. So just to get to a bit more detail of the forward end here, you've got your stereo, your up and down control for this table, and another VHF, the remote that you take out into the cockpit with you. Heading down from the saloon into the sleeping accommodation is via 4 very shallow steps. You walk down these, totally bolt upright. We'll go straight forward into the owner's cabin. So you have a huge island bed in the middle. I would say that's at least a couple of meters across. You've got a nice storage drawer underneath. You've got a wardrobe on the starboard side. Tons of light and ventilation. There's 2 hatches in the ceiling. You've got a nice big fixed window at the front. A couple of opening port lights either side. A couple of nice reading lights. And the thing that really strikes you about it is the trim level in here. All of the bulkheads are covered in this really nice soft material bulkhead cladding, I suppose is probably the best phrase for it, and it just brings a level of opulence to the interior that you wouldn't normally expect to see on a sailing yacht. It really is pretty mind-boggling. Huge ensuite to the owner's cabin, so that's in here. Got a nice mirror with a light around it, moulded Corian sink, huge shower cubicle. I mean, genuinely huge, with a nice hatch above the top. This boat's got 3 freshwater flush electric loos, which makes life very easy, not only for the owners but for guests, especially if the guests aren't totally au fait with how to use boat loos. The furniture, the fittings, the kind of door furniture again is a better level than I think I've ever seen before, and you can't help but notice how nicely this thing's been put together, even to the point that the doors, these big solid oak door frames, but the The door sits on a rubber seal so it doesn't rattle around. Back down through the boat, on the starboard side, the first thing at the bottom of the stairs is the guest cabin. This one is set up as the twin layout, so you've got 2 twin beds. The head height above at least the outboard bed is phenomenal as well. This will be the most popular option chosen in here, and a lot of that's to do with the fact that it gives you more options in terms of your guests. You can order this with a giant double. I mean, that would be a super king. It would be just huge. Or you can order the twin and then pay a little bit more and have an infill cushion that means you can convert it from one to the other. Just forward of the guest cabin has its own ensuite again. So another electric loo, moulded Korean sink, nice big mirror with a light around it, and again another really, really big shower cubicle. Fold down seat, which is rather nice, and again the same bulkhead trim. It's just been so nicely done. This cupboard I haven't got the little spare key for, but this is the back of the 12 volt and 230 volt switch panel that I'll show you in a minute. Really easy access from a service point of view. Your third cabin is the double in here, and that comes with loads of really clever storage inboard, a little bit outboard, again nice windows, nice ventilation, big wardrobe. This has its own ensuite, but we're going to go into it via the day head's door. So this is set up in such a way that a guest who isn't staying on board doesn't have to go into somebody's cabin in order to get into the bathroom. So the day head's door is straight off the corridor at the bottom. Again, usual setup of nice mirror with moulded sink, electric loo, and again forward of here another shower cubicle. So what we've got in here is 3 really nice double en suites. You've got your owner's cabin, which is by far the pick of the bunch, and as it should be. You've got your VIP guest cabin in here on starboard, which is your VIP guest cabin, twin or double, however you choose to configure it. And then in on port, you've got another nice double, and that really is a good size double. So there's not a lot to worry about there in terms of guests feeling left out. Halfway down the companionway steps, you've got your electrical switchboard. So you've got your 12 volt panel at the top with the SI Marine monitoring system. So you've got your batteries, you've got a barometer. You can toggle through all of the different battery levels and how much it is: bow, stern, thruster, freshwater, fuel port, fuel starboard, and back to the barometer. Switching for everything 12 volt, so nav gear, interior lights, that kind of thing. Underneath that you've got your 230 volt panel. So this is your switching for when you're on shore power generator or inverter. You've got all the air conditioning switching on the right, domestic appliances and sockets on the left. When your generator's running, you'll throw that from shore power over to generator. You also have another monitoring system courtesy of Mastervolt. This is showing us our solar charge. There's 800 watts of solar panels on the roof here. So at any point, we're typically getting something between 10 and 30 amps of charge. And bear in mind, this is May in the UK, so the sun is not high in the sky. So I'd be really looking forward to seeing what that can achieve on a really sunny day in the summer. And you've got your generator start panel there. This is a nice touch as well. So instead of routing around the boat for the various battery isolators, they've given you a remote switching bank. So if you want to turn these on, you flick that down, turn it on, and it remotely turns on the battery isolator for the various things. Turn all those off while I'm here, leave the service on. And that's in a neat cupboard at the bottom of the stairs. So really that's it for the interior of the new DS48. I'll flip you around. Thoroughly enjoyed showing you around. I hope it's been useful. I hope I've covered everything you might want to see. This video is going up on YouTube. You can leave some comments below. If you would like to email us or give us a call to ask any questions, our contact details are on there too. This boat is here at Hamble Point Marina. So if you're thinking, do you know what, I'd like to go and have a poke around that and look around it, get in touch. You'd be more than welcome. So I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll do another video showing you around outside, talking about the rigging and the sailing, and then obviously we'll take it for a sail as well, so stay tuned for that. And thank you again.